You don't become great by chance, you decide to become. Every action you take is either pulling you forward or holding you back. If you want to rise, you must act like the person who's already there. Speak with certainty, move with purpose, show up with the energy of your future self. Because your identity isn't just something you discover, it's something you demonstrate. The moment you act like it's already yours, you start becoming the one who deserves it. In few moments, you will learn how to step into your future identity and act like the version of you that wins. Every decision you make is a vote for the future version of yourself. The problem? Most people cast their votes for comfort, not character. You say you want success, but are your daily actions aligned with that claim? If your dream version of yourself wakes up early, learns daily, and speaks with confidence, then you must begin behaving as if those traits already belong to you. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for approval. Your mind is the engine, and your habits are the wheels. Start steering today. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You don't become confident by thinking about it. You become confident by showing up consistently, even when your hands shake. Think of Florence Nightingale. She didn't wait for courage to arrive. She walked into plague-infested hospitals and became courage. You can't wait until you feel like the person you want to be. You must act like it first. That's how you become it. So what are your habits casting votes for today? Are they shaping the person you've dreamed of becoming, or are they keeping you chained to the familiar? You don't become a leader by watching others lead. You become a leader by deciding every day that your actions will echo your aspirations. And if you act like the person you want to be long enough, you'll wake up one day and realize you already are. You say you want to live boldly, but fear always whispers louder than faith. It slips in quietly, yet grips you like iron. It's not always a shout. Sometimes it's a subtle pull backward when you're just about to step forward. Every time you hesitate, every time you shrink back, you train your nervous system that fear is in charge. Your body remembers that retreat, and slowly, without realizing it, you become a prisoner not of your circumstances, but of your pattern. But the opposite is also true. Every time you step forward while your heart pounds, every time you speak while your voice shakes, you teach your soul that courage leads. You rewire your spirit to follow growth instead of comfort. Boldness is not about noise. It is not about being brash or reckless. Boldness is silent, deliberate, and anchored in conviction. It is choosing to rise even while your knees tremble. It is believing that forward is better than familiar. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the most influential women of the 20th century, was once afraid of public speaking. Her voice wavered, her hands trembled, but she stood anyway. Not because the fear was gone, but because the mission was greater. Her legacy was not built in the absence of fear, but in the presence of faith. She decided to act boldly, and her decision shaped a nation. You might be waiting for fear to leave before you act, waiting for a day when you're fully ready, fully confident, fully sure. But what if that day never comes? What if fear never fully leaves, but your courage grows stronger anyway? What if the only way out is through? The question is not, are you afraid? The question is, will you act anyway? What decision could you make today that echoes the boldest version of yourself? What step, what leap, what risk would you take, not because you feel ready, but because you refuse to be ruled by fear? Boldness is a muscle, and just like any muscle, it grows through tension, repetition, and resistance. You don't become bold overnight. You become bold through small decisions made in quiet rooms, through difficult conversations, through vulnerable moments where your voice shakes but you speak anyway. You don't need to conquer the mountain today, but you must take one step. Make the call, say yes, say no, ask the question, fly, begin. You are not waiting for boldness to arrive. You are becoming bold, decision by decision, inch by inch. You are reshaping who you are. With every bold act, no matter how small, you vote for the version of you that doesn't back down. You cast a ballot for growth, for expansion, for destiny. So what will you choose today? Comfort or courage? Safety or stretch? Fear or future? Your legacy won't be written by what you felt. It will be written by what you did despite the fear. one bold act at a time. If your future self walked into the room right now, would they recognize your actions or be confused by them? The version of you that you dreamed about, prayed for, envisioned in your highest moments of clarity. Are you living in a way that mirrors their discipline, their focus, their integrity? Or have your days been filled with delay, distraction, and diluted effort? You cannot wish your way into transformation. You walk into it, you build it. Choice by choice, day by day, not in occasional bursts of effort, but in the quiet consistency of daily decision. The greatest deception is self-deception, to speak of becoming while living contrary to it. James 1:22 tells us, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." The word demands congruence, not performance. You don't impress heaven by speaking lofty visions, you honor it by embodying them. You might have good intentions, but intention without action is just imagination. True alignment is when your thoughts, your words, and your actions all face the same direction, forward. Benjamin Franklin is proof that transformation is not mystical, it is measurable. He didn't just hope for virtue, he documented it. Every day he tracked 13 virtues, holding himself accountable with ink and truth. Wisdom did not find him by accident. It met him at the intersection of routine and resolve. He knew that greatness is not revealed in occasional acts, but in consistent behaviors. And that is still true. The question before you now is urgent. What do your current habits prophesy about your future? Not your affirmations, your habits. Are you building the life you claim you want, or are you rehearsing a performance of progress? If your future self is focused, how do you eliminate today's distractions? If they are financially free, how do you steward money today? If they are courageous, which truth must you finally speak? If they are respected, what disciplines do you need to honor now? You don't become confident by wishing. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself repeatedly. You don't become powerful by declarations. You become powerful by decisions. Decisions that reflect the highest version of yourself, even when no one is watching. You say you want change, but are you living as if it's already begun? Stop waiting for the right mood, the perfect conditions, or more clarity. What if clarity comes after obedience? What if growth follows action, not precedes it? Ask a better question, not when will I change, but what would my future self do next? Then do that, not once, but daily. Discipline is not dramatic, it is dull. It is silent. It is showing up again and again, aligning your life to the identity you say is yours. This is not about perfection, it is about direction. Your identity is revealed in repetition. You are what you repeatedly do. So if you want to become someone different, act differently, consistently. The truth is, your future self is not waiting to appear. They are waiting to be built. And the materials are already in your hands. Today's choices, today's habits, today's mindset. So what will you do with this day? Will you move toward the life you say you want, or will you delay again, hoping transformation arrives on its own? It won't, but you can. You can show up today like your future self is watching, because they are. And they're counting on you to get this part right. Most people wait for motivation to appear like lightning, sudden, dazzling, undeniable, but that kind of spark is rare and unreliable. Motivation isn't lightning, it's fire, and fire must be fed, not once, not occasionally, but every single day. Waiting for motivation is a gamble, but building it, that's a choice, one that compounds. If you want to act like the person you admire, start in the shadows, begin where no one sees. Build their habits in private, form their mindset in solitude, practice their discipline in silence. The spotlight never creates greatness, it only reveals what was built in the dark. This requires sacrifice. You must say no when others indulge, not out of fear, but out of vision. You must choose growth when others choose gossip, not because you're better, but because you're becoming. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. To number your days is to recognize their worth. To stop treating time like it's infinite, because it isn't. Every minute you spend is a vote for the future you are building. Time is currency, and your investment reveals your values. What you spend time on is what you prioritize. So what does your calendar say about your character? Are you feeding your fire or letting it flicker under the weight of distraction? Booker T. Washington, born into slavery, given no privilege, no platform, no inheritance. Yet he taught himself to read by candlelight. He cleaned classrooms to pay for education. He didn't wait for someone to notice his potential. He worked until his potential became impossible to ignore. Later, he became an educator, author, and advisor to presidents. His motivation wasn't gifted. It was grown. It didn't strike from above. It was kindled within. So ask yourself, what are you feeding your fire? Are you lighting it with books that challenge you, with goals that stretch you, with mentors that refine you, shallow conversations and mindless habits? The person you admire, they're not magical, they are intentional. They are disciplined when no one is watching. They train when no one claps. They study when no one cares. That's the real difference. Fire grows when it is fed, but it also dies when it is ignored. Don't wait for a big spark. Start with small twigs. A morning routine, a 30-minute reading session, a hard conversation, a bold move. Feed your fire in quiet ways, daily, consistently, because your future doesn't need a flash, it needs a flame. That flame becomes your compass. It gives light to your path. It warms others as they come near. It becomes the foundation of your leadership, your clarity, your power. But make no mistake, it is your job to tend it. No one will do it for you. No one else knows the dream that burns inside you, so protect it, nurture it, show up for it, not because you always feel like it, but because it always matters. So today, feed your fire with vision, with discipline, with truth. The path your future self walks tomorrow is being lit by the fire you tend today. You can't become who you were meant to be while clinging to who you used to be. But that's the silent trap so many fall into. They crave elevation, yet resist evolution. They want new outcomes, but refuse to release old identities. You cannot walk into a new life with the weight of a former one dragging behind you. If you want to rise, you must release. If you want transformation, you must let go of everything that no longer serves the future you are building. It feels like loss, but it is not. It is transformation. It is the shedding of what was, so what is meant to be can emerge. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not by forcing change, not by pleasing people, not by performing, but by inner renewal. Renewal demands unlearning. It requires you to question the beliefs, the stories, the labels that you've carried for years. Just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's faithful to your future. You may be holding on to an identity rooted in pain, in survival, in fear, but that identity was formed to get you through. It was not meant to carry you into what's next. Purpose does not live in the shadows of who you used to be. It lives in the light of who you are becoming. Harriet Tubman understood this. Born into slavery, she fought for her freedom. But she didn't stop there. She went back, again and again, risking her life to lead others to liberty. She was not just escaping a system. She was shedding an identity. She stopped seeing herself as property and started living as a pathfinder. She didn't allow her past to define her potential. And neither should you. Ask yourself, what identity must I rewrite to rise higher? What narrative must I rewrite? What mindset must die for my purpose to live? This journey is not about abandoning who you are. It's about discarding who you never truly were. The insecure version, the doubting version, the playing small version, the version built on others' opinions and past wounds. Your destiny is too valuable to carry dead weight. So look closely. What are you still gripping that your future self would never carry? A toxic relationship? A limiting belief? A title that no longer fits? An apology you keep waiting for that will never come? Set it down. Not tomorrow, now. Your freedom isn't in the next achievement, it's in the next release. Who you are meant to be is already waiting, but you can only meet them when you're willing to leave behind who you no longer are. The truth is, the cocoon must break for the butterfly to fly. The shell must crack for the seed to grow, and you must let go to rise. This is the nature of transformation. It is not clean, it is not neat, but it is sacred. Let today be the funeral of false identities. Let today be the birth of your becoming. Speak this aloud if you must. I am no longer who I was. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. Walk forward, not with apology, but with authority, not with fear, but with clarity. The life you seek doesn't begin with addition. It begins with release. So step forward and walk as the version of you that's already free. The most dangerous lie isn't that you'll fail, it's that you have time. Time to begin later, time to grow later, time to become later. But later is the graveyard of potential. It's where visions fade, where dreams decay, where purpose gets postponed into oblivion. Every second you delay stepping into your future self, you reinforce your current one. And your current self, if not growing, is slowly declining. Be very careful then how you live. Not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. That means the moment in front of you matters. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Opportunity doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It favors the prepared and the present. In the 19th century, while many businessmen in Britain waited for markets to stabilize or conditions to be favorable, one man named Thomas Holloway built an empire in health and education. He didn't wait for clarity, he created impact. Holloway founded one of the most important pharmaceutical companies of his time and later used his fortune to establish Holloway College for Women, a bold move in an age when few invested in female education. He could have waited, he could have played it safe, but he moved with urgency. He turned profit into purpose. What about you? Are you mistaking fear for wisdom? Are you letting hesitation wear the mask of patience, waiting for clarity when it's really courage that you lack? The future doesn't demand perfection, it demands momentum. Acting like your future self isn't about having all the answers. It's about refusing to stall. Every hour you postpone bold action, you lose the power of compounding growth. One step today multiplies tomorrow. But zero action? That stacks into zero progress. The cost of delay is invisible at first, but devastating over time. Stop telling yourself you'll start when it's easier, when life calms down, when you feel more ready. That day never comes. The world doesn't pause for you to feel courageous. It rewards those who move in spite of fear. So ask yourself, what choice could you make today that your future self would thank you for? What conversation are you avoiding? What habit could you begin, not because it's convenient, but because it's critical? What vision are you carrying that deserves action now? You say you want a different life, but are you living differently? Or just talking about it? Time is the most expensive currency you have, and once spent, it cannot be earned back. Stop protecting your limitations with excuses. Stop wrapping procrastination in philosophical language. Time does not bend to desire. It bows only to discipline. If your dream matters, then time is not a luxury. It is a test, and the way you spend your minutes will determine the measure of your life. You are not promised a someday. You are only gifted this day, this hour, this decision. So move now, make the call, begin the project, have the conversation, say yes, say no, but whatever you do, do not stay still, because stillness is not peace, it is decay in disguise. Minute by minute, you are either building your future or burying it. The clock does not care, but your purpose does. So step and keep, because destiny honors the doer. You say you want to rise, but who are you when no one's watching? That hidden version of you, the one behind closed doors, holds the keys to your future. It is not your public face, your polished words, or your curated posts that shape your destiny. It is the quiet discipline, the unseen work, the silent decisions that determine the height you'll reach. Public victory is nothing more than the echo of private discipline. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. What flows from you when the applause fades, when the lights dim, when no one is keeping score? At midnight, when the world rests, what are you feeding your mind? What habits are you repeating? What thoughts are you entertaining? The answers to these questions are not just small details. They are the blueprint of your future. George Washington Carver. A man born into slavery yet destined to shape history. He didn't wait for a stage. He didn't wait for validation. Instead, he labored in hidden laboratories, working through the night, transforming a simple peanut into hundreds of innovations. His genius wasn't a flash. It was forged in silence. His character wasn't built in public. It was cultivated in solitude. His impact shouted only because his preparation whispered. Are you mastering your habits when the spotlight is off? Are you building in the shadows what you intend to reveal in the light? The truth is, success does not begin on the platform. It begins on the floor of discipline. You don't suddenly rise. You simply meet the moment with the readiness you built in secret. Don't be deceived by the culture of instant fame. True greatness is slow cooked, not microwaved. It is formed in the furnace of consistency. And the furnace isn't glamorous, it's repetitive, it's lonely, it's filled with choices that no one applauds, but that heaven counts. So who are you behind the scenes? Would your future self be proud of your midnight habits or puzzled by your inconsistency? Would they find a life being prepared for greatness or one being distracted by comfort? Every private decision is a seed, and every seed over time produces fruit. If you want the fruit of excellence, plant the seed of integrity. If you want the fruit of influence, plant the seed of service. If you want the fruit of impact, plant the seed of hidden diligence. Greatness doesn't come from wishing for recognition. It comes from living in alignment when no one's clapping, no cheerleaders, just you, your choices, and your creator. Start winning in secret. Start training as if the world already sees you. Speak with excellence even when you think no one hears. Work with excellence even when no one thanks you. Show up with excellence even when the reward feels far away. Because when your moment comes, and it will, you will not need to rise to it. You will already be there. Not because of luck, but because of legacy. A legacy forged one private decision at a time. So guard your heart, sharpen your habits, build your soul, and live today as if the future is already watching, because it is. You were born with power, but then came the conditioning, the slow, silent erosion of confidence, the voices that told you to wait your turn, to tone it down, to not be too much. So you learned to shrink. You learned to apologize for your presence. You learned to ask permission for what was already yours by design. But the version of you that will change your life and maybe change the world will never be found hiding behind approval. The path forward begins not with external validation, but with internal conviction. Galatians 1:10 asks, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? You can't serve your future and serve fear at the same time. One must die for the other to live. So many wait to be chosen, not realizing they already are. Chosen to lead, chosen to build, chosen to speak. But still they hesitate. Still they defer their destiny to the opinions of others. Still they make themselves small in rooms they were meant to transform. Sojourner Truth had every reason to stay silent. Born into slavery, stripped of rights, she could have chosen invisibility, but she didn't. She stood tall in courtrooms. She thundered truth from pulpits. She didn't wait to be told she was ready. She decided she was. And that decision changed history. And that is the very decision before you today. Will you continue waiting to be picked, approved, or will you stand up, speak out, and act like the chosen one you already are? Stop deferring your destiny to people who don't even understand your assignment. Stop asking small minds to validate a big calling. Stop shrinking to fit environments that cannot contain your future. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break through, to disrupt, to rebuild, to reimagine. And yes, that will be uncomfortable. Yes, that will cost you. But nothing great is birthed without discomfort. So ask yourself, what would it look like today to take up the space your calling requires, to walk into rooms with the authority of someone who belongs there, because you do, to speak as if your voice matters, because it does. Every moment you wait for permission, you delay your purpose. Every time you seek applause, you sacrifice authenticity. But when you stop waiting and start walking, everything changes. Not overnight, but inevitably, because power flows to those who claim it. You don't need more credentials. You don't need more followers. You need more courage. The courage to believe that your presence is not a mistake, that your voice is not an accident, that your dream is not too much. Let this be the day you decide to be dangerous, to fear, to doubt, to the systems that kept you small. Let this be the day you stop seeking permission. You were not designed to live in the shadows. You were designed to illuminate. You were not made to conform. You were made to lead. And the moment you believe that, truly believe it, is the moment you begin to walk in the fullness of your purpose. So rise, not with apology, but with authority, not with arrogance, but with alignment. You don't need to ask if the world is ready. You only need to declare that you are, because you are, and it's time. Most people measure progress by results. They look at the numbers, the followers, the income, the trophies. But the wise, they measure progress by alignment, because alignment is the invisible engine behind every visible outcome. If your life is not aligned with your vision, then every step forward is actually a step sideways. Are your actions matching your destiny or your doubts? That question isn't rhetorical, because if you're moving toward a vision that your habits betray, you're not being strategic, you're being self-deceptive. Amos 3:3 asks, "Can two walk together unless they are agreed?" That includes you and your future. If your current lifestyle is out of agreement with your desired future, one will eventually cancel the other. This isn't just about dreaming big, it's about living smart. Dreams don't just need belief. They need alignment, consistency, proof. Because when your life is in agreement with your purpose, every moment becomes a brick in a foundation that lasts. Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb by luck or by one stroke of genius. He failed thousands of times, but every experiment, every spark, every late night in that lab aligned with a vision of a world lit by electricity. His results were delayed, but his commitment was immediate. He didn't wait to see if it would work before acting in alignment. He aligned first, and the results followed. So ask yourself, are you committed to your dream or just interested in it? Are you consistent when no one claps, or do you only take steps when applause is guaranteed? Too many live in contradiction, speaking dreams but building distractions. You say you want clarity, but you feed confusion. You say you want greatness, but you settle for comfort. You say you want impact, but your days are filled with the trivial. Your life cannot walk in two directions. If you're still trying to please both fear and purpose, you're divided. And division always delays destiny. So which direction have you chosen? Really chosen? If you want the future, you must practice it today in what you eat, what you read, how you speak, how you respond when no one watches. Because your choices are sermons. They are preaching something. They either proclaim your belief in your vision or they declare your disbelief. So examine your day, honestly. Does it confirm who you want to become or contradict it? Are your habits echoing your highest intentions or are they sabotaging them quietly? You can't fake alignment. You can only live it. It doesn't require perfection, but it does require honesty. If you're out of alignment, adjust. If you've been distracted, return. If you've been passive, recommit. Begin now. Begin again. But whatever you do, do not stop until your actions, your mindset, your relationships, and your rhythms all point in one direction, toward the future you say you believe in. That's not just how you create results. That's how you become unshakable. Because when your life preaches one message, truth, purpose, conviction, everything begins to move in harmony. Momentum becomes natural. Discipline becomes easier. And your results, they become inevitable. Live aligned, not later, now. The person you want to be already exists within. They're not waiting for the perfect day. They're waiting for a decision. But that version of you doesn't come alive in ease. They are revealed through adversity, called out by challenge, formed in pressure. You cannot microwave growth. You must endure it. Trials aren't detours. They are mirrors. They reflect the strength you forgot you had. They expose the mindset you've been, and they introduce you to the power you thought you lacked. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. That perseverance is not weakness, it is becoming. So the real question is, Are you resenting the hardship that is meant to forge you? Are you trying to escape the very thing that will elevate you? The fire is not your enemy. It is your forge. It doesn't come to destroy, it comes to refine, to burn away what's brittle, to reveal what's real. Andrew Carnegie. Born into poverty in Scotland, he immigrated to America and began working as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory at the age of 13. His hands were stained with labor, his path filled with barriers. Yet every setback taught him discipline. Every obstacle refined his resolve. He worked through the nights, invested in books, learned from mentors, and endured criticism and setbacks others would flee from. But through pressure, he grew. Not just into a titan of industry, but into a philanthropist who gave away the majority of his fortune to fuel education and libraries around the world. Andrew Carnegie's legacy was not created in comfort. It was forged in challenge. His wealth was not his greatest contribution. His mindset was. He didn't become great despite hardship. He became great because of it. What about you? What trial are you in right now? Are you shrinking under its weight or rising with its resistance? Your reaction reveals your identity. When pressure hits, do you complain or do you construct? Do you retreat or do you rebuild? You don't become powerful by avoiding pain. You become powerful by choosing growth inside of it. You don't gain strength from skipping the valley. You gain it by walking through with faith and fire. What if today's pressure is actually tomorrow's preparation? What if the storm that seems to oppose you is actually shaping you, molding your resolve, training your voice, building your capacity? You say you want to be bold, then embrace the season that demands it. You say you want to lead, then respond like a leader now, especially when it's hard. The truth is, the person you admire, the strong, grounded, powerful version of yourself, is born in this battle, not after it, in it. So lean in, not with resistance, but with readiness. Rise up, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Refuse to be broken by what was meant to build you. Refuse to shrink into excuses. Instead, stretch, grow, push, speak, lead. Let this moment become the moment you met yourself, the version of you that you always knew was inside but hadn't yet been called out. Act like your future self would act, especially when it's hard. Because when you respond with power and pain, you become unstoppable. And that's who you were always meant to be. Most people want clarity before they commit. They want a full map before they take the first step. But the truth is, clarity is not a prerequisite for action. It is the reward. It is earned through movement, not waiting. You will never think your way into certainty. You must walk your way into it. When you move, the path appears. When you decide, the fog begins to lift. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Not a floodlight, a lamp. That means you don't get to see the entire journey. You get just enough for the next step, enough to trust, enough to act. But many miss their moment waiting for confirmation that only comes after obedience. They want signs, but they ignore the nudge. They wait for clarity, but they overlook the calling. Are you still waiting for perfect conditions before you act? Still asking for guarantees before you take the first step? But what if your future doesn't start with proof? What if it starts with pursuit? The person you want to become, the bold, wise, disciplined version of you, does not emerge after you have all the answers. They show up when you choose to believe before you understand. When you move with faith, not fear. When you build with purpose, not permission. What bold move are you delaying because you're afraid it won't all make sense? What decision are you postponing because you can't see step 10? The truth is, you don't need to see. You just need to take step 1. Faith is not theory. Faith is motion. James 2:17 tells us that faith without works is dead. So what is your faith doing right now? Is it sitting in fear? Or is it stepping forward, even trembling, even unsure? If your future self only comes to life after certainty, you'll never meet them, because transformation starts before understanding. Power is not born in prediction, it's born in obedience. You won't become the person you want to be by calculating every risk. You'll become them by trusting the voice inside that says go, that says build, that says begin. You're not being called to jump blindly. You're being invited to move wisely, step by step. Trust that the ground will meet your feet. Trust that every step will teach you what the pause never could. Clarity isn't the starting point. It's the reward. The light grows as you move. The fog lifts as you trust. The map unfolds as you walk. So don't wait for full certainty. Wait for the whisper, then act on it. Because movement creates momentum. And momentum builds confidence, and confidence attracts clarity. It's not magic. It's obedience multiplied by action. So move. Start small if you must, but start. Say yes, make the call, write the plan, open the door, take the risk. You don't have to know it all, you just have to trust that purpose is enough to take the first step. And when you do, you won't just find clarity, you'll find yourself. Every time you compromise your values, you betray your future self. And often, the betrayal is subtle, a small nod to fit in, a silent agreement to avoid conflict, a smile that hides your truth. But peace that costs your integrity is not peace at all. It's a prison dressed in politeness. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Your integrity is not just a trait, it's your compass. When you abandon it, you lose your direction. You start drifting, slowly, silently, until one day you don't recognize the person in the mirror. Integrity is not about being flawless. It's about being consistent. It's about matching your public words with your private walk. It's being the same when eyes are on you as when no one sees. And most importantly, it's being loyal to the character of your future self, especially when it's hard, especially when it costs you. Abraham Lincoln. During one of the darkest seasons in American history, when the country was divided and war raged, he had every political reason to choose popularity over principle. He could have pandered to applause, but he didn't. He stood on what was right, not what was easy. He led with truth, not trend. And because of that, his leadership outlived the moment. It became a model. Can the same be said of you? When pressure mounts, do you hold your standard or bend to convenience? Are your daily choices honoring your core, or are they selling your soul for the illusion of comfort? The truth is, you will never drift into respect. You will never stumble into legacy. You won't become respected by accident. You become respected by choice, repeated, daily, often when no one sees, often when no one claps. So what are you standing for today? What values are you refusing to negotiate? What truth are you protecting, even when it's unpopular? Your future self will not thank you for going along to get along. They won't celebrate the moment you silenced your voice to keep the peace. They'll thank you for the stand you took, the line you didn't cross, the standard you refused to lower. Every decision is a vote, and your values are on the ballot. Are you voting for your higher self, or are you casting ballots for approval and ease? You say you want to lead, then lead with integrity. You say you want to inspire, then let your character do the talking. You say you want to succeed, then build a foundation that won't collapse under pressure. The world does not need more agreeable people, it needs more anchored ones. Anchored in truth, anchored in conviction, anchored in purpose. So act like the person you want to be. Guard your integrity like a crown, because it is. It is what gives you authority. It is what earns you trust. It is what separates leaders from followers. And in the end, when the crowds fade and the spotlight shifts, all that will remain is your name and the choices that shaped it. Let those choices be honorable. Let them be firm. Let them be a reflection of who you truly are, not who the world demanded you become. Today, choose principle over popularity, truth over trend, consistency over compromise, because your destiny depends on it. Growth will always demand release, not just the letting go of people or places, but the surrendering of past versions of yourself, the achiever you once celebrated, the identity that earned applause, the mindset that helped you survive. They might all become the barriers to who you're destined to become. That's the paradox of personal evolution. The very self that brought you here may not be the one that can take you there. Isaiah 43:18-19 reminds us, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing." God's new thing doesn't fit in old frameworks. His next move doesn't wait for your past to catch up. In fact, it requires that you release the old so you can embrace the unfolding. But releasing the old version of yourself doesn't mean disrespecting it. It means acknowledging it served its season, then laying it down. It means honoring who you were while boldly choosing who you are becoming, because to cling to what was is to delay what could be. Charles Darwin. Long before he became the father of evolutionary biology, he was deeply rooted in traditional thought. He studied theology. He walked within the boundaries of accepted belief. But when evidence clashed with expectation, he faced a decision: stay safe or explore truth. He chose truth. And that choice cost him the comfort of agreement. It risked relationships, reputation, and even his own inner peace. But it also sparked a revolution in thought that forever altered science. His greatness didn't come from holding tight to who he had been. It came from releasing it. And so must you. What version of yourself have you outgrown, but are still protecting? What identity feels familiar, but is secretly keeping you small? Maybe it's the high performer who always says yes. Maybe it's the caretaker who never expresses needs. Maybe it's the overthinker who clings to control. Whatever it is, know this: your future cannot be built on a foundation of fear. You don't have to hate who you were, but you must release them, because growth always feels like grief, not because something is dying, but because something deeper is shedding. The shedding of ego, the shedding of validation, the shedding of old armor you no longer need. And that shedding is sacred. It is the ceremony of elevation, the unveiling of your truest self. But it won't happen while your hands are still full of yesterday's survival strategies. So what are you clinging to that's keeping your future waiting? Is it the story that says, I'm only valuable when I perform? Is it the relationship that confirms your fears instead of fueling your faith? Is it the voice that says, don't outgrow the people around you? Let go, let rise. Let yourself evolve without guilt, because guilt will always try to chain you to yesterday. But grace invites you to become. Your next chapter is not written with the ink of old identity. It is born in the blank space of surrender. The page where you stop striving to be who you were and begin allowing who you truly are. So, take a breath, open your hands, bless your past, and then release it. Because the future isn't waiting for who you used to be. It's waiting for who you're becoming. Vision is powerful. It stirs your soul, awakens possibility, and pulls you toward purpose. But vision without structure is fantasy. It excites the heart but fails the hand, because what you don't structure, you cannot sustain. And what you cannot sustain, you will never see fulfilled. The person you admire, the one who seems unstoppable, doesn't just dream. They plan, they don't just hope. They schedule, they treat time like currency and invest it with precision, because they understand planning is faith in action. It says, I believe my future is worth preparing for. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest visionaries of modern electricity. His ideas were revolutionary, decades ahead of their time. But behind every flash of genius was a framework, a rhythm, a rigor. Tesla followed strict schedules, structured thinking, and repeatable disciplines. His brilliance didn't float in chaos. It thrived in consistency. So ask yourself honestly, do you structure your day like someone pursuing greatness? Or do you wing it and wish for the best? Do you drift through time, reacting to what comes, or do you design your day to align with your destiny? Your calendar is a mirror. It reflects what matters to you. You can say you value growth, discipline, or impact, but if your time isn't shaped around those values, your dream is just talk. If your time is unmanaged, your dream will be too. Vision without systems creates frustration because your spirit sees what's possible, but your habits can't hold it. That's when people burn out. They don't fail from dreaming too big. They fail from structuring too little. So what would it look like to organize your day around your highest self, not your lowest cravings? What rituals would replace your distractions? What time blocks would protect your purpose? What routines would become your roots? Imagine this. You wake up with intention. You know your top priorities. You create space for deep work, rest, learning, and service. Your habits support your calling. Your schedule reinforces your standard. Your actions are no longer reactive. They are prophetic. They declare who you are becoming. That's not boring. That's power, because discipline is not a prison, it is a pathway. Structure is not limitation, it is liberation. It frees your mind from chaos so your vision can finally breathe. What system could you set in place today that your future self will thank you for? It might be a morning routine, a weekly planning session, a designated hour for reading, prayer, or creativity. Whatever it is, make it consistent, make it sacred. Don't just dream, design. Don't just hope, implement. Give your vision a vessel. Give your destiny a daily schedule. Because transformation doesn't happen in inspiration alone, it happens in implementation. That's the difference between those who watch the future arrive and those who build it. So open your planner, open your calendar, open your eyes. Your greatness isn't waiting for more motivation, it's waiting for more structure. Take that dream off the shelf and put it on your schedule. Watch it come alive, one organized hour, one disciplined block, one sacred step at a time. The strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. True strength isn't measured by volume or bravado. It's revealed in the ability to remain calm when chaos swirls. It's the quiet resilience that stands tall while others unravel. That kind of power is rare, and it's called emotional discipline. Emotional discipline is the secret armor of true leaders. It doesn't mean you feel less. It means you govern more. It means you refuse to be a slave to your emotions and instead choose to be their master. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Because taking a city without mastering your spirit will only build an empire you are unfit to lead. True power isn't force, it's restraint. It's the ability to respond instead of react, to breathe instead of burst, to wait when others rush, to see clearly when others are clouded by rage or panic. Think of Mahatma Gandhi, a man whose resistance didn't roar, it resonated. He led a revolution with peace, not provocation. He didn't suppress his emotions, he submitted them to a higher purpose. His calm was not a lack of fire, it was the disciplined direction of it. He didn't conquer through dominance, he transformed through dignity. So what about you? When conflict hits, when pressure mounts, do you act like your future self, or do you default to outdated reactions? Do you hold the room with calm authority, or do you scramble to prove your power? Do you own your mood, or does it own you? The truth is, emotion is not the enemy, it's information. It shows you where your attention is, where your wounds are, and where your growth is needed. But it is not meant to drive, it is meant to inform. Power doesn't come from reacting, it comes from responding with wisdom. Reacting is impulsive, responding is intentional. And the gap between the two is where leadership lives. So next time anger rises or fear tightens your chest, pause, breathe, ask yourself, how would my highest self handle this moment? What would the future version of me, the calm, wise, grounded one, say or do right now, and then act accordingly? Not because it's easy, but because it's essential. Emotional discipline doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. It doesn't mean you lack, it means you channel it. It doesn't dull your fire, it sharpens your focus. You were not created to be ruled by passing moods. You were built to lead from unwavering purpose. And when you do, you become unshakable. Not because life stops shaking, but because you stop breaking. Mastering your emotions is not about suppression, it's about stewardship. It's choosing peace over pride, clarity over chaos, mission over momentary satisfaction. So today, practice that pause. Refuse to let someone else's chaos dictate your climate. Refuse to mirror dysfunction. Choose to lead it, because the strongest person in the room, the one who changes atmospheres and influences outcomes, is not the one who shouts the loudest. It's the one who stays grounded, listens deeply, speaks wisely, and moves intentionally. Be that person. You cannot build a new life with an old language. The vocabulary that shaped your past cannot architect your future. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds, and what you speak you eventually see. Every sentence, every declaration is a brick. You are either constructing a fortress of faith or a prison of fear. If you constantly declare doubt, fear, and failure, you reinforce the mindset of who you were, not who you are becoming. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Not thoughts, not intentions, the tongue. Your words are not trivial, they are tools. Your mouth is a mirror, reflecting what your heart truly believes. And belief is the foundation of all transformation. You may have vision, but if your vocabulary contradicts it, your life will too, because language isn't neutral, it's directional. It moves you toward the mindset you speak about most. Say I can't enough times and eventually you won't. Say I will long enough and eventually you do. Think of Winston Churchill, a man standing in the shadow of global war, nations collapsing, bombs falling, fear thick in the air. But Churchill didn't echo despair. He declared destiny. His speeches weren't just patriotic, they were prophetic. He spoke of victory when the world smelled of smoke and fear, not because he had guarantees, but because he had vision. He understood that language leads, that words make room for courage, that declarations create containers for belief. So how are you speaking about yourself lately? Are you talking like a victim or a visionary? Are you narrating your life as if the best is behind you or as if you are just getting started? Are you rehearsing limitation or prophesying expansion? Do your words sound like someone surviving or someone building? Every time you say, "I'm just not that type of person," you reinforce an identity you claim to want to outgrow. Every time you say, "I can't," you sign a contract with limitation. But every time you say, "I will," you unlock permission for power. You must speak into your future before you ever step into it. Because transformation doesn't start at the finish line, it starts at your lips. Your declarations determine your direction, and your consistency will determine your destination. So what new words must you start using today to align with the person you want to be? Not someday, today. Not after you feel confident, but in order to become confident. Replace "I'm overwhelmed" with "I'm organizing my priorities." Replace "I always mess up" with "I'm learning to lead myself better." Replace "this will never change" with "I am committed to growing, even when it's slow." Speak like someone who expects to win. Speak like someone who is preparing for promotion. Speak like someone who understands that life and death are in the power of the tongue. You are not faking it, you are forming it. Words form reality. And if you want a new reality, you need a new vocabulary. So today, pause, listen, audit your language. Are your words supporting your future or sabotaging it? Then make the shift. Speak life. Speak possibility. Speak progress. Because your words are not just sound waves, they are spirit seeds. And what you sow, you will eventually speak into harvest. Start building your new life one word at a time. The right environment can make or break your evolution. You can't grow redwoods in deserts, and you can't act like the best version of yourself in toxic soil. Every great transformation requires a setting that supports it. A greenhouse nurtures delicate seedlings until they are strong enough to face the wild. Likewise, your surroundings must be fertile enough to nourish your becoming. Yet many remain stunted, not for lack of effort, but because they are rooted in places that drain them. Places filled with doubters, distractions, and voices that echo old limitations. Scripture warns us clearly, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Not all harm comes with a loud crash. Some of it comes in subtle erosion, a small compromise here, a delayed dream there. You become who you are around, not all at once, but drop by drop. Leonardo da Vinci. His brilliance did not bloom in isolation. It flourished among fellow visionaries in the creative hubs of Florence and Milan. Surrounded by artists, scientists, philosophers, and patrons who demanded excellence, his mind was watered by challenge, collaboration, and inspiration. Would his genius have emerged as brightly in the shadows of mediocrity? Doubtful. So ask yourself, who is watering your potential and who is poisoning it? Are your conversations about problems or possibilities? Do your friends cheer your growth or fear your change? Are you being called higher or kept comfortable? Comfort is not always safe. Sometimes the most dangerous place to be is around those who accept your past but reject your future. They smile but sabotage. They laugh but limit. And though they may not intend harm, their presence can still prevent growth. The soil you choose determines the fruit you bear. If you want to grow higher, you must plant yourself deeper, in places of truth, challenge, and encouragement. Evaluate your current environment. Prune what no longer serves. Uproot from what silently chokes your ambition. Then replant yourself where greatness is the standard, not the exception. Because your evolution isn't just about effort, it's about atmosphere. The seed of your destiny cannot thrive in the wrong climate. So protect your ground, guard your gates, and surround yourself with people who speak to your potential more than your past. People who see your wings even when you still feel bound to the ground. Your future isn't waiting on more hustle. It's waiting on better soil. Choose wisely. You can't keep what you don't protect. And most people treat their energy like it's infinite, pouring it into distractions, drama, and digital noise. But your future self requires focus. Laser-like, undivided. We live in an age that glorifies busy but starves purpose. Opinions drown out original thought, and attention, the currency of achievement, is often squandered on things that offer no return. Yet the secret to mastery is not just in doing more, but in doing less of what doesn't matter. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Your attention is a form of treasure. It reveals your values, it builds your habits, it maps your direction. So if you want to know your future, look at your focus. Marie Curie offers a powerful example. Immersed in radioactive research, she wasn't distracted by applause or status. She worked in silence, fueled by obsession with discovery, not approval. And that single-minded devotion gave birth to breakthroughs the world still benefits from today. Her power wasn't in being everywhere, it was in being deeply present, fiercely focused. Now let me ask you, are you guarding your time like it matters, or are you donating your attention to whatever knocks first? True transformation demands that you protect what builds you. That means closing tabs, ignoring gossip, turning off what tempts you to shrink. Most noise isn't malicious, just misaligned. But every misalignment is an energy leak, and every leak steals from your future. You cannot manifest clarity from a cluttered mind. You cannot execute vision with scattered hands. What energy leaks need to be sealed? What conversations, habits, or digital detours are robbing you of momentum? Sometimes it's not a lack of motivation, it's a lack of boundaries. Say no more often, not because you're selfish, but because your vision is sacred. Not everything deserves a seat at your table. Protect your space, your schedule, your spirit, because once you give it away, it's hard to get it back. Silence the unnecessary. Starve the distractions. Let solitude sharpen you, because greatness requires margin, and margin only appears when noise disappears. Acting like your future self means living now with intentionality. It means filtering your actions through a higher lens. Before you say yes, ask, does this feed my future or just entertain my present? Your future self isn't scattered. They're focused, not frantically doing everything, but faithfully doing what matters. So become that person today. Protect your attention, guard your energy, build your future by directing your now. The reason many people never transform is because they treat identity like a noun when it's actually a verb. You don't get confidence, discipline, or excellence. You do it over and over until it becomes you. Transformation is not a moment, it's a movement, one built in repetition, in motion. Identity is not found, it's formed in the fires of routine, in the hidden places where no applause is given, where no spotlight shines, but where character is carved one decision at a time. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That's the formula. Not glamour, not luck, but grit. Doing good, doing right, doing it again. Louis Pasteur. Today he stands as a titan of science, his name etched in history for discoveries that saved millions. But what few remember is how often he failed, how often he returned to the lab, undeterred by the silence. His brilliance wasn't born from genius. It was born from stubbornness, a refusal to quit, a commitment to keep doing. That's how identity is built. Not in thinking about who you want to be, but in doing what that person would do, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one claps, especially then. So ask yourself, are you doing who you want to be, or just dreaming about it? You say you want to be disciplined. Are you setting the alarm? Are you showing up when it's hard? You say you want to be confident. Are you speaking with courage or waiting until you feel ready? The truth is, confidence won't arrive like a package. It isn't shipped overnight. It's forged in repetition, built like a muscle. One rep at a time, one act at a time, until one day, without even noticing, you'll realize you are it. The person you admire isn't waiting for permission. They're practicing their values, practicing their mission, living like their future depends on today's decisions, because it does. So stop chasing identity like a prize to be won. Start treating it like a lifestyle to be lived. Choose it, act it, repeat it. Because every choice you make is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. And when you stack those votes day after day, action after action, identity is no longer something you aim for, it's something you are. The final act of becoming your future self is simple, but it's the most profound. Believe. Not just in potential, but in the inevitability of becoming. Belief is the foundation that holds up every action, every habit, every dream. It is not passive, it is powerful. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That means belief is not about waiting for proof, it is the proof. Belief says, I walk as if it's already done. This is where most falter. They begin to build, but stop when the world doesn't clap, when their progress isn't yet visible, when doubt whispers louder than vision. But the future is not for those who merely hope. It is for those who believe. Helen Keller. Blind, deaf, silenced by a world that saw her as broken, but she believed, and her belief became a magnet. It drew Anne Sullivan to her life. It attracted transformation. It unlocked a mind, a message, a mission that shook the world. Not because she had reasons to believe, but because she chose to. So what about you? Do you still question what's possible for you? Or have you decided it's already written? Faith is not a feeling, it is a decision, a declaration, a way of standing in the dark while speaking as if it were light. The person you are becoming is not a dream. They are real, but they are waiting on you to stop waiting. When you walk in belief, you don't just prepare for victory, you move as if it has already been won. That is the secret to manifestation. Not hustling harder, not waiting longer, but believing deeper. Speak it, live it, walk in it. Before anyone else claps. Before anyone else validates. Because the finish line is not merely a location, it's a decision. And belief is the ribbon you break through when you finally accept that you were always enough. You must stop seeing belief as something reserved for the gifted. It is a tool for the committed, a light for the journey, a compass that keeps you moving, even when the map isn't clear. The truth is, no one becomes their future self by accident. It is always preceded by a bold declaration of belief, not in external applause, but in internal assurance. So today ask yourself, what would change if you believed it was inevitable? How would you speak, walk, work? What would you stop tolerating? What would you finally start? You already have the vision. You already have the spark. Now fuel it with faith, because your belief doesn't just shape your mindset, it shapes your momentum. Believe it and be it. You already know who you want to be. Now it's time to act like it. Press play, stay focused, and shift your energy toward the identity that wins. Stop waiting. Start becoming.